This conversation is taking place at the old State House in Dover.
We're talking with Lieutenant Governor Matt Denn. Tell us a little bit about what the governor's asked you to do and what you're doing with it.
We sat down back in, obviously we were talking, more than daily during the campaign, but then after it was all over and we had a chance to catch our breath, we sat down sometime in November or December, and he basically said, look, let's figure out what kind of stuff you want to do, and we talked about it, and everybody who works for the governor, who works in the areas that are priorities for me, know that the governor wants them to work with me, to be responsive, to include me in what they're doing. He's given me some things in a formal way that he wants me to oversee, like the Criminal Justice Council, but I think probably more importantly, just on an informal, ongoing basis. For example, I sit in on all the meetings where he talks to his staff about the budget and what's going to be, what's going to be in the budget, what's not going to be in the budget, and those are hugely important meetings where very, very consequential decisions are made, and I'm not shy about what I think is a good or a bad idea. I would never talk about it outside the meeting, and if you asked me today, what did you think was a bad idea, I wouldn't tell you, because that's part of the the relationship is understanding that that some advice that you give, it has to be given discreetly, but inclusion in those types of conversations I think is just as important as being put in charge of this commission or that task force.
I know that you've been a big advocate for volunteerism, and that one of your assistants, Raina Allen, has been engaged heavily in that. Tell us how that came about, how you came to be so interested in volunteerism.
Well, it's one of those things that derives from my legal practice, really. As I mentioned, when I started, probably about 60% of my time, my quote-unquote office time, was spent in church basements, and a lot of the communities that I was trying to do legal work in, their churches were really the center, not just the religious center of that community, but in many cases the social center of that community. So I was located in those places and saw that these were organizations. Most of these churches have nonprofits associated with them, and that they were doing a lot of very important work that was inspired by their religious convictions, but really separate and apart from it. So when I got a chance to run for this office, this Lieutenant Governor's office, where you really have the discretion to kind of make up your own agenda, one of the things that I wanted to do was to have somebody there who was going to help those faith-based groups, but also the even larger universe of nonprofit groups get access to some of the resources, federal resources, foundation resources that could help them expand what they do, and do more of the good work in the community with resources that they don't currently have anybody helping them get access to.
I know you have a passion for public policy issues affecting children. Can you explain what you're doing to make things better for children in Delaware these days? Sure.
It's hard with the budget situation being what it is. A lot of the things that you would like to do for kids, and you and I have talked about this before, involve spending new resources, and the budget doesn't really allow for that. So we've had to try to focus on things that we can do better using what we have. A big part of the focus is on public schools, and even within that, my focus has been on getting the recruiting, retaining, training, equipping the very best teachers to be in the classroom with kids. I just think that with this multitude of things that we're doing, all of them great with public schools, we can't lose focus on the fact that the people who are in the classroom with these kids are sort of make or break. So we're working on trying to get much better about early hiring of teachers, so we're getting the very best new teachers coming into the system, something that it doesn't appear is going to cost us a lot of money to improve our standing with, and we're going to try to be very aggressive about that. We've started giving out what we call academic achievement awards to some of the schools in the state that are getting the best results with some of the kids that are hardest to teach. We're doing a lot better with professional development in Delaware with teachers today than we were 2 years ago. The new state testing program, the DCAS system, I probably visit about a school every week. I visited 2 last week, And it's been very encouraging to be out recently because the data has started coming in from the new testing program, and one of the benefits that we were hoping to see from it was we'd get these teachers this wealth of very student-specific information early in the school year and allow them to really do a lot better job, knowledge-based in terms of giving each kid what they need as the year goes on. And it's been very encouraging because it looks like that's happening. And I've been hearing a lot from teachers that they've now got this very important new tool they can use to help their kids with learning. So it's not exclusively public education, but that's a big part of what the focus is.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
You're connected with Content Delaware.